Welcome to the comfort of the lounge, where I am joined by renowned mindfulness coach Emma Murray. Em, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, you operate in the high performance mindfulness space, so can you just give us a bit of a rundown as to what's involved there?
Yeah, so I work with elite athletes and coaches and teams to help them with their mindset so that they can get their attention into the moment and best deliver in that moment. I think we hear that word mindfulness and we've heard it a lot, but we're not exactly sure what it means. And effectively, it's just helping your players or, enabling an athlete to actually have his attention on what he needs to do to best execute that moment.
Well, I guess today with the Love the Game Coaches Forum, we're having a look at some of the negative impacts that sports betting is having on the sporting landscape. How do you see that from your position?
Yeah, I actually did a podcast on this topic on the long haul, and so it was eye-opening to me. Like, it really shocked me about the amount of sports betting advertising was the first thing that really grabbed me. I'm a mum as well as working in this space, and it was 374 ads a day. Our youngsters and teenagers and young adults are exposed to, and that is free to air only.
Yeah, and I'm just going to elaborate on this because I've got some of those stats in front of me too. So, as you said, 345,900 broadcast in Victoria alone last year, an average of 948 per day, an increase of 250% since 2016, and an average of 148 of those ads were broadcast during, the 6 to 8:30 time slot. So that's really alarming, isn't it?
It is incredibly alarming, and I think we hear those stats, and if you're someone coaching young people and you're a parent, it can be really alarming. But I think for me, as part of that podcast, I actually spoke to some people who were gambling, and yes, stats are alarming, but when you actually sit, Josh Bruce from the Western Bulldogs was really open about the experience of gambling and the feelings of gambling, and that's when it became really real about how it can trap you and how it can start to ruin your life and what that can feel like. And I think we have to really remember that. And what I had to catch myself was that I know that pokies are dirty and bad, and they're not great. But sports betting seems fun, and it feels like it's part of the game. But it's really calling out that that's not the case any longer, and we need to be on this, and we need to help our young people because they can't escape what they're seeing and hearing about it.
And just on this, you've done a lot of work with Richmond Footy Club. There's players that are on the other side of that as well. Dylan Grimes jumps to mind. He was one that came out, whether it was last year or the year before, and said, this is not okay. I'm literally receiving death threats because somebody's put a bet on and it hasn't come off or whatever it might be. But then these incredible athletes and people, first and foremost, are copying the grunt of that.
Yeah, and that's horrific that someone's out there trying to do their job and trying to perform to the best of their ability, and then they're getting blamed for someone losing a multi. That is horrific, but to me that really just shows us what level of state of fear that the person who is gambling is in, that they're so desperate that they actually see it as a personal attack if the player does not do what they need them to do. So I think for us, we need to take that as a warning and say, okay, this is getting out of control and we need to do something to fix this. And we cannot just think it's not happening. My kids are fine, and they're only placing the odd bet, and it's not much money, and we have to really stop it in its tracks.
Yeah, we have to call it out, don't we? I've got a competition question here for you from Nicholas from the Banyule Junior Football Club. He asked, sporting clubs are often an outlet and sanctuary for kids facing challenges such as learning difficulties and complex or strong emotions. What role and opportunity do we as the sporting club have empower in kids in life outside of the club as well?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. And, it doesn't matter if it's at a local club or an AFL club, when we go to play our sport, it's a sanctuary, and it is supposed to be a space where we can feel good about ourselves. And I think it's really important that as coaches and sporting administrators, we realise the opportunity that we have to actually say to a kid, you can do something well, you are safe, you know, you are worthy, you are enough. And, you know, we sometimes get trapped as coaches into thinking that I have to get these good results, and it's the results that I get that will make the kid feel like they love footy and love being here. And we have to actually stop and go, no, our job as a coach is to actually reinforce to these young people what they can do, what they are good enough. And if that doesn't win us the game, that's okay.
Yeah.
We've got a bigger purpose than that.
Yeah.
And it should be a space that I feel safe, not a space where I feel the expectation of the coach's desire to win or my parents' desire to win, that I can just be safe to play football, play something I love.
And thank you. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day, but we really appreciate your insights here today.
Thank you.
Jared will be back in studio next. Stay with us.